Hello and welcome back to Substream News. I'm Joseph, your presenter, and this week we will be talking about theft and stealing things that do not belong to you. So we're not going to steal a like and subscribe from you. We're going to ask you very politely to just scroll down and subscribe to this channel and support our growth. Without further ado, let's begin. A startup from Greenland is being accused of doing environmental damage of titanic proportions for stealing ancient ice from glaciers and shipping it all the way to Dubai, where it's being used in fancy cocktail bars. So, Arctic Ice, the company in question, takes ice from these 100,000-year-old and more glaciers and ships them on containers and says the ice is harvested from icebergs. That's in their marketing. And it takes 4,700 miles to get it to the Middle East. Now, there is some ethical dilemma here, of course. Well, the scheme to provide the cleanest and purest ice in the world has, of course, received a frosty reception, mostly by environmental campaigners who say, we definitely should not be taking ice from ancient glaciers, which seems logical to most of us. But the company have doubled down on their position and have said that it actually helps to highlight the effects of global warming and the reduction of ice caps and things like that. So they're actually suggesting that they're doing the world a service. That's like starting forest fires to, show the damage of fire, or starving yourself to show the effects of hunger. What a bizarre position and hill to die on. And I would love to be able to wish Arctic Ice all the success that I could in their venture, but I see no way of that happening. So I think we should just move on. Have a think about that story and whether you think it's okay. Let's go. Next story. Those who watch Substream News regularly may remember a few weeks ago I referenced the old anti-piracy advert, like you wouldn't steal a car, right? It's very famous. The thing is, a lot of people do steal cars, and they have to go to extraordinary lengths to design cars that are very hard to be stolen. But cars get stolen all the time. So that advert was bizarre, and I think that's why it's so memorable, because it was just a bizarre advert. Anyway, now about carjackings. If you're a Tesla owner, this one applies to you. For the grand total of $169, you can buy a device called a Flipper Zero. Now, I don't really know how it works, but it's a hacking tool, and advanced hackers will use this to kind of create a fake Wi-Fi network, and they can use that simple tool to steal a whole Tesla, and the driver will not even know that it's been stolen. Before I tell you the steps, do not try this at home. I'm not giving you instructions, and I don't want to be held accountable if you go out and steal a car. Nothing to do with me. So here it is. So these two guys, Tommy Misk and Talal Haj, they have a company called Misk Incorporated, and so they said they were able to steal this Tesla very easily. And here's how. Oh, and they tested it on Misk's own Tesla. So it's not quite hacking. You use the Flipper Zero to set up a Wi-Fi network called Tesla Guest, which is a common network that Tesla owners may be familiar with because you find it at service centers where you might recharge, right? So when you log in, it all looks legit. It looks like Tesla website. You log in with your real details. Those details get sent to the scammers. The scammers put the real login details into the real Tesla website. That then sends a one-time passcode to the Tesla driver, who then puts that into the fake website. Now the scammers have the real login name or username, the password, and a one-time passcode, and they are in. The next thing to do is to set up a phone key to make your phone a Bluetooth key for the Tesla car. Then you just go up to the car, open the door, and you can start the engine and drive away. Scary stuff. The point is, wasn't technology meant to make it harder to steal cars? You know, you see old movies where they hotwire, right? They kind of pop out that little casing under the steering wheel and they jolt a few wires together and the engine starts and they drive away, right? This almost seems a little bit simpler. If you're tech savvy, this is an easier way to go about it and get yourself a Tesla. Of course, very illegal, and the police will be after you pretty quickly, but without brute force, you don't have to smash a window. This is a very kind of clean getaway. Well, I'm sure Mr. Musk and Tesla will fix this very soon, so let's move Elon to the next story. I love this story for the sheer audacity. So we have this lady, her name's Queenpin. That's her criminal mastermind name. She's a 53-year-old woman from the US. Her real name is Michelle Mack. And so Queenpin was running an intricate crime gang for expensive cosmetics and designer clothes. And she had 12 young women working for her who she paid to fly around the US and shoplift from targeted stores. She had like a hit list with hundreds of shops around the US where she was sending these girls to go and get specific items. Now, she was storing them all. This is probably the most foolish part. She got caught. She was storing them all in her own home, a $3 million mansion in California. So she was doing quite well from this. And the police found lists of items, these target lists, and that was part of the tip-off. And the girls were flying to dozens of states to get the stuff. So the cops, of course, decided to do a raid, which is the logical thing. So 5 a.m., they do a big raid in her $3 million mansion. They go in, they find $350,000 worth of stolen clothes in her home. Now think of your wardrobe at home. Just imagine it for a moment. All of your clothes combined. What's the cost, right? Could be $1,000, could be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Depends how much stuff you've got and how long you hang on to stuff. 350,000. So times your wardrobe by 100, all in stolen goods. That is insane. That's so many clothes. Well, she was caught and she was prosecuted. Her husband, Kenneth, also prosecuted, and 7 of the California girl gang also prosecuted. In total, 136 felony counts of grand theft. Think someone was inspired by GTA? I'm not sure. Just the audacity. I love this story. Really, I just thought, wow, what audacity. Now, they're stealing out of desperation, and they're stealing out of greed, like Queenpin. Now, desperation is a totally different story. A lot of people might agree that if you are in poverty, in a really bad situation, stealing is a lesser crime. Well, courts in Italy would agree, because there's a great story out here. And this quote, think about this: "The right to survival prevails over property." Now that's from Italy's highest court. And this was because there was a homeless guy who stole sausages and cheese. They gave him 6 months in jail and €100 fine. What an awful punishment. The guy had nothing and he was trying to stay alive. And so it got turned around, it got appealed, and now Italy has made it so that if you're desperately poor and you steal food, it's not a crime. I think other countries might follow suit or just practice lenience in these cases. And moving on to the next story. Now, this is a theft of a different kind. It's a theft of your peace of mind, your privacy, and your personal data. And it's all to do with a headset. Now, if you watch our videos, you'll know we've talked about the Apple Vision Pro. We've talked about recently the Gandhi style round glasses. Can't remember the name. And we've talked about the Meta Quest headset. Well, this story relates to the Meta Quest. And hackers, or I suppose computer scientists from a University of Chicago, have found a way to just completely take over your headset without you knowing it. And they're calling it an Inception Attack. So here's how it works. So by performing an Inception Attack, they completely take over the person's user session, and they can control everything they see, and they basically can spy on and control the whole session. And they tested this on a bunch of people, and only a third of them realized that something was wrong, which is quite scary, because that means 2/3 of them did not notice that they were a real-time victim of a hacking. Here's the words from the scientists. So, this is an attack where the attacker controls and manipulates the user's interaction with the VR environment. by trapping the user inside a single malicious VR application that masquerades as the full VR system. So how does it work? Okay, so there are some similarities with the Tesla story. You may figure that. So you have to be connected to the same network as the Quest user to perform an Inception Attack. Their headset must be in developer mode, which is actually quite common because you need to do that to enter third-party apps, adjust the resolution, or take screenshots. So a lot of people just leave their headset in developer mode, which makes this exploit possible. So from there, once those parameters are set, the Wi-Fi and developer mode, researchers can plant malware into the headset and insert a phony home screen that looks identical and then allows the researchers to take control of everything. And that makes it a simulation within a simulation, therefore the name Inception Attack. Shout out Leo DiCaprio, great movie. So here is another great quote from the researchers. It says, "While the user thinks they are interacting normally with different VR applications, they are in fact interacting within a simulated world, where everything they see and hear has been incepted, relayed, and possibly altered by the attacker." Well, they were able to hack everything. Social media, bank accounts, emails, and basically anything they wanted to. They had full access, and that's scary. So whether it's your Tesla or your whole digital life, please be careful out there. We're not telling you how to do these things. That's not what we're interested in. We're interested in you knowing how people might try to exploit you through your technology to harm you. Because being aware of these dangers will keep you more safe in your digital experience, and just generally with whatever you're doing online, know the dangers. The people who suffer the most online are those who are oblivious to the dangers. Let's move on. And on a lighter note, resveratrol. Have you ever heard of this chemical? Don't worry if you haven't, it's new to me. And it's a good one. This is a good story. It's not a fish that sounds like a shotgun, if you saw one of our recent videos, but it's pretty interesting. It's a natural polyphenol compound that's found in the skins and seeds of red and purple grapes, berries, peanuts, and pistachios. And it may help you live longer. Now, we love these stories that help you live longer. What a great thing we could do for you, our wonderful audience. But you shouldn't thank us. Actually, thank a Japanese scientist from 1939 who accidentally stumbled upon this compound from the roots of a white hellebore plant. So after discovery, it kind of lay dormant. Obviously, there was a lot going on after 1939. And it wasn't until 1992 that this chemical became prominent again. And that's when researchers were exploring the French paradox. And the French paradox is that French people drink a lot of red wine and have a high-fat diet, and yet they have very low rates of heart disease, and it doesn't correlate. So why? And they found that this chemical may have something to do with it because it's present in red wine. So this chemical has protective qualities at the cellular level. So resveratrol basically helps your cells, which is a good thing. And what does that mean? Because I'm no scientist and you might not be either. So what does it mean to have some cellular protection? Well, you'll have more longevity and disease prevention, cardiovascular benefits, gut microbiome regulation, cancer cell suppression, protection against Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, increased insulin sensitivity, and relieve joint pain. That is a lot of benefits for just one chemical. May I remind you, the skins and seeds of red and purple grapes, berries, peanuts, and pistachios. You're welcome. Go get yourself some resveratrol, and maybe you'll live longer. And if that's not worth a like and subscribe, I don't know what is. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in, for watching. I'm Joseph. This is Substream News. Been my pleasure to host this video for you. Please support our growth. We're happy to have you here. See you next time.